Tonight, the U.S. and Iran have a deal to end the war, but it is still not clear what's in it.
I'm very happy to say it's signed, the deal's all signed.
But could the conflict in Lebanon derail the deal? And concerns over the Strait of Hormuz, how long it could take to get oil flowing and gas prices falling. In Toronto, police say a 12-year-old stole a car, struck an officer, and the officer opened fire.
We don't want to use force on a child, clearly, but if your life is in danger.
The dramatic scene and serious charges laid against the boy. And an end-of-the-year field trip in BC takes a very scary turn.
We're deeply saddened by the incident which occurred today.
12 kids hurt at a popular water park.
From CBC News, this is The National with Chief Correspondent Adrian Arsenault.
Thanks for joining us. Well, the United States and Iran appear to be making progress tonight towards peace. They virtually signed a preliminary agreement to end the war, but the actual details of that framework are pretty murky. Donald Trump says the Strait of Hormuz will fully reopen on Friday, and the U.S. will end its blockade of Iranian ports. But key issues like Iran's nuclear program haven't been ironed out, and ongoing fighting between Israel and Hezbollah threatens to derail those negotiations. The full text of the memorandum is expected to be released after an official signing ceremony on Friday. But as we've seen, ceasefire agreements are fragile. Katie Simpson explains why that could break down at any moment.
Maybe handshake, Mr. President?
It looked a little uncomfortable. But once the U.S. president settled in with his French counterpart at the G7, he opened up like usual to promote his peace plan with Iran.
I'm very happy to say it's signed, the deal's all signed.
The U.S. says it's already lifting its blockade of Iranian ports and claimed Iran is starting the process of reopening the Strait of Hormuz.
They're doing a little hunting for a couple of mines that they've already found, but it's essentially ships are starting to go out now. On Friday, it'll be completely opened.
But Donald Trump hasn't released the text yet, and neither has Iran, so specifics remain unclear. The deal is meant to be a launching point for more technical talks centered around Iran's nuclear ambitions, a very preliminary memorandum of understanding, according to the U.S. Vice President.
The MOU, Jake, is about a page and a half, so it is a very general document.
The U.S. says it's open to giving Iran sanctions relief as part of a broader deal to be discussed over a 60-day negotiation period.
If the Iranians behave like a normal country, then we want to treat them like a normal country and welcome them into the world economy.
But the ongoing fighting in Lebanon between Israel, the U.S. partner in this war, and Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed militant group, could derail this fragile understanding. There are times when we don't see eye to eye, the Israeli prime minister said, adding this deal is Trump's decision, while vowing to keep Israeli soldiers in southern Lebanon. What all this means for the process, it appears even Trump is unsure.
We do want to see if we can straighten out the Lebanon thing, because it just seems to just never end. So Hezbollah, we have to have a little talk with them.
One additional claim coming from the U.S. side, nuclear inspectors will be allowed to return to Iran. But there are reports emerging that U.S. intelligence agencies are unsure if Iran is actually going to comply with any of this, raising internal questions about whether this leads anywhere.
And given all that, it's interesting that all of this is set to be formalized by the end of the week.
Yeah, there is supposed to be a signing ceremony Friday in Switzerland, and that is if everything holds, and that's a big if. The plan is for now that J.D. Vance will lead the U.S. delegation.
All right, thank you. That is Katie Simpson in Washington tonight. And in Tehran, there's mixed reactions. CBC News is reporting from inside Iran with the permission of the Iranian government, which imposes restrictions on international journalists. But they do not check our material before it is broadcast. Senior international correspondent Margaret Evans is there and shows us that while Iranian state media is hailing the agreement as a win, not everyone there sees it that way.
Tehran, a city no longer under immediate threat. At least that's the idea of the agreement announced on state television overnight, dressed in the language of victory. The United States was compelled to sign an agreement ending the war, she says. With the electronic ink barely dry, many Iranians reacted with relief but also caution. If the Americans don't break their promises as usual, says Irfan, a salesman, then I hope that the main agreement will be signed and the region left tranquil. No tranquility here. An earlier demonstration by hardliners denouncing the U.S. deal and the politicians who negotiated it. One of them, Abbas Araghchi, Iran's foreign minister. At a weekly briefing, Araghchi's spokesman Ismail Bakai said Iranians will accept the agreement as long as the U.S. respects it. What is important is that our people, as a historic nation, have demonstrated their unity and also trust their decision makers, he said. Trust in Iran's decision makers is surely absent amongst those who demonstrated against the country's clerical rulers before the war, or being brutally put down. Their echo can be found in the growing number of Iranian women choosing not to wear the hijab, despite the crackdown and even though it's against the law. That happened because of all the protests that took place, says Bahran, 17. It was the result of the efforts and struggles of all people in Iran. Don't look at us wearing colorful clothes and smiling and think we don't care, says Marian Yahana. It doesn't mean we're happy. We are absolutely sad, but we've learned how to struggle to survive. Whether this agreement is going to survive, of course, is another question. Margaret Evans, CBC News, Tehran.
Word of the tentative deal is also shaping the conversation in France, where G7 leaders have gathered for their annual summit. And as David Cochran reports, the focus now getting peace to hold.
In the days leading up to this summit, the Prime Minister said the outcome of the peace talks between the U.S. and Iran would shape the direction of the G7. As he boarded his plane to leave Ireland, Mark Carney said the goal is to make this agreement as durable as possible.
We'll have an opportunity starting from tonight at the G7 in Evian to see what we and other countries can do to help reinforce this important progress that's been made.
Nous allons tout faire d'abord pour que cet accord soit une réalité.
We will do everything we can to ensure that this agreement becomes a reality, says French President and summit host Emmanuel Macron. All of the countries gathering here have suffered from the economic shocks this conflict has unleashed. It's flatlined growth and fueled inflation.
We have long called for de-escalation, and it is vital that all parties seize this opportunity to secure stability in the region.
But so much of what happens next depends so much on one man.
Everything is very nice, thank you.
U.S. President Donald Trump has boasted of an imminent deal dozens of times in the past, but this time seems more solid. Canada's specific commitments to an enduring peace are at this point unknown, though in the past there have been suggestions of maritime support and intelligence sharing.
The priority now is implementation. The Straits of Hormuz must reopen and freedom of navigation must be restored, toll-free.
This peace deal is still just preliminary. The tough conversations about Iran's nuclear program left for the future. But this framework at least gives the G7 leaders a window of opportunity to help make it more durable and stabilize the global economy. David Cochran, CBC News, La Chapelle d'Abondance, France.
Senior business correspondent Peter Armstrong joins us now. So opening the Strait of Hormuz, that is one thing, but what's it going to take to get oil flowing?
It's going to be an enormous logistical challenge. Like 1 billion barrels of oil are missing from global markets. And it's not you can just flip a switch to get those back, right? Production facilities were damaged, some were destroyed. And look at the timeline. Trump initially said, Strait's going to be open immediately. Then he said it's going to be Friday. And as we all know, a lot can happen between now and then.
So if we look at it, there are probably, I guess, hundreds of ships loaded with oil in the Persian Gulf. It's a version of what I just asked you, but is there a timeline?
Yeah, look, it's going to take time because those ships have been sitting there for like 3.5 months. They've been building up barnacles underneath them. They're going to need maintenance. They're going to need some repairs. And getting ships out, that's only half the problem. You need ships to come in to start really getting oil flowing again, but they've all gone off in search of available oil. So they're going to have to reroute, and that takes time.
They don't move particularly quickly.
They do not, right? My favorite stat I've learned is that on average, these oil tankers move at about the speed of a bicycle. So getting back, getting loaded, getting out to those global destinations is going to take time. The CEO of Shell has said he thinks it'll be the better part of a year before markets are properly balanced again.
Okay, so that part is interesting because I think of how we look at it from this perspective, and most people are going to say, okay, but what about gas prices? How soon will they come down?
So gas has been largely following oil. Oil fell down to $80 a barrel today, and that's good news, but it's still way higher than it was before the war. In January, Brent crude was trading at $60 a barrel. So there's still a long way to go, and a lot of ways this can come off the rails before then.
Okay, Peter Armstrong, thank you.
You bet.
And in Ukraine, at least 11 people were killed, and a UNESCO heritage site was badly damaged after another wave of Russian strikes. The roof of a centuries-old cathedral caught fire during the intense attack. Ukrainian officials said Moscow launched more than 70 missiles and some 600 drones across the country. Among the dead, 4 emergency workers. Well, the U.S. Air Force is investigating after a B-52 bomber crashed shortly after takeoff at a California Air Force base. All 8 people on board were killed.
This was a mixed crew of military, government civilians, and government contractors.
Boeing confirmed 2 of its employees were on the plane, which was on a routine test mission. That thick black smoke could be seen from the crash site about 160 kilometers north of Los Angeles. There is no word on a cause. Well, a 12-year-old boy is facing some serious charges tonight, including attempted murder, after allegedly stealing a car and striking a Toronto police officer. Ontario's police watchdog says the officer shot at the car and the boy is in hospital. Sheehan Desjardins picks up the story with neighbors who couldn't believe the dramatic scene.
This chaotic scene in Toronto captured by a neighbor just moments after hearing 3 loud bangs and watching a car speed off.
I saw it go super fast and it was audible too, so it was like screeching. They were trying to get out of here, that's what it seemed like.
The driver, just 12 years old, according to Ontario's police watchdog. Investigators allege he stole the car and was driving with 2 other children, ages 12 and 13. The young driver now facing several charges, including attempted murder.
The driver took off and abandoned the car a short distance away and then was apprehended on foot a short time later.
The Special Investigations Unit says police got reports of a stolen vehicle early Monday. Police tried to stop the car on this bridge. The driver allegedly struck an officer, and at some point, that officer fired shots at the vehicle. It's not clear what happened first. The 12-year-old driver was taken to hospital with serious injuries.
We don't want to use force on a child, clearly, but if your life is in danger, unfortunately, you have no choice but to protect yourself and your colleagues.
Toronto's police chief has warned about the concerning number of violent crimes committed by kids. This organization, helping troubled youth, says they see it firsthand.
We see a lot more referrals coming through our door for kids that are younger in age and for more serious offenses than ever before.
But incidents like these still a shock to the community.
But to see that same scene where we play pickleball become like a crime scene, it's kind of weird, it's kind of surreal.
The scene here is now cleared and traffic is moving as usual. Police say the officer who was hit was taken to hospital and has been released. The 12-year-old remains in hospital. Sheehan Desjardins, CBC News, Toronto.
5 children killed in a crash in rural Ontario have been identified by an older sister. Nancy Dirksen provided this family photo but didn't name each child. 4 girls and 1 boy, aged 4 to 12, were killed Friday night. A van carrying 10 members of their family collided with an SUV in Elmira, that is north of Kitchener. The sister, who was not in the van, says her mother and infant brother are still in hospital. An end-of-the-year field trip to a busy water park in BC's Fraser Valley took a sudden turn today when 12 kids were sent to hospital. Caroline Bargout is outside the water park with the latest information. So, Caroline, what are you learning?
Adrian, this is a very popular water park that was hosting school field trips for children around the Lower Mainland. Now, officials here are telling us it was an electrical incident that sent 12 kids to hospital.
Cultus Lake Water Park officials say the students were in line waiting to get on the 0 to 60 water slide when a hand railing became electrified.
They were not in the water, they were not on the ride. It was a queuing area at the bottom of a particular ride.
12 kids believed to be between the ages of 10 and 12 were injured. Most were transported to hospital by ground ambulance, but 2 were airlifted. We are told they are in stable condition with serious injuries. Emergency services wouldn't say what type of injuries they sustained, but BC Hydro, the province's utility company, confirmed. Our crews have identified that the electrical issue originated on the customer side of the electrical service rather than within our infrastructure or equipment.
Pretty scary.
Matthew Deary is supposed to go to the water park with his school next week.
I really want to know what happened there, but I don't really want to go on Monday unless they figure out what happened and fix the problem.
This educational assistant says students from several schools have year-end field trips planned over the next little while.
They're excited for summer. Water slides is something that they're so excited for. They love it, and children deserve to be having fun in a safe environment.
WorkSafe BC is leading the investigation, even though RCMP were on scene. This water park is now closed for at least the next 48 hours until officials determine the cause. They say it will not reopen until it is deemed safe.
All right, thank you. That is Caroline Bargout in Cultus Lake, BC tonight. Fewer Canadians are dying from opioid overdoses. New data from the Public Health Agency of Canada shows more than 5,600 people died last year. That is down 23% from the year before.
These numbers remain unacceptably high and well above pre-2020 levels. And we must not forget that behind every number, every statistic is a person.
Officials attributed the decline to a range of factors, including broader access to naloxone. But stronger versions of fentanyl are making treatment more complex. Well, protesters in Montreal gathered outside a police station tonight, angry over allegations that officers engaged in racist and discriminatory behavior. As Sarah Levitt tells us, racialized community members say the accusations come as no surprise to them.
Anger and frustration in Montreal North. 16 police officers from this station are being investigated for alleged racism targeting Black and Arab citizens.
People are aware that something is not working here and it needs to be addressed.
Allegations include officers cutting off dreadlocks as trophies, Radio-Canada sources say. 2 officers are being investigated for potential criminal charges. Community organizers say the allegations come as no surprise, that their concerns about racism were not taken seriously. It was fellow officers who spoke out this time, leading to the investigation. The citizens of this borough, one of Montreal's most diverse, have a deep-seated distrust of police. In 2008, police shot and killed teenager Freddie Villanueva, sparking violent riots in this neighborhood. But many say anger over these latest claims spreads beyond Montreal North.
This is like regular cases that happens.
In 2020, Samuel Bunch was stopped by police in Laval. He says he was pulled out of the car by his hair. Bunch sued the city, leading to a settlement.
It's something that every time I see police, like on the road or anything, I always had that anxiety.
Calls are mounting for an independent investigation into the recent allegations. The province has hired an independent observer to follow the case and isn't ruling out doing more.
C'est complètement inacceptable.
Quebec's Premier Christine Fréchette said what is being alleged is unacceptable, but won't call it systemic racism. Montreal's police chief says steps are being taken.
To be honest with you, what we did Friday night to dismantle the whole group never happened in the history of this SPVM, and there's going to be consequences.
The people outside police station 39 aren't so sure they'll see those consequences.
So, Sarah, as you noted, the premier isn't acknowledging that there is systemic racism in Quebec. It sounds like that is a major frustration.
Yeah, it's the number one thing that people here have brought up to me when I speak to them. One man says, he's a bit cynical, but that if the province acknowledges systemic racism, then they have to do something about it. Others, though, say this latest step from police investigating other police is a big step.
All right, thank you for this. That is Sarah Levitt in the borough of Montreal North. California's Democratic governor is accusing Donald Trump of directing the U.S. Justice Department to investigate him and his wife. Gavin Newsom says this is politically motivated.
He's coming after me because I'm considering running for president, because he hates that I've consistently called him out over and over again for his lies and deceit.
Newsom says he's been added to what he calls Trump's hit list, referring to the Department of Justice opening investigations into the president's perceived political enemies. The DOJ declined to comment.
It will make our children safer. It will make our children happier.
And the United Kingdom is planning a social media ban for children under the age of 16 to take effect next year. Consultation showed overwhelming support from parents. Children will also be prevented from chatting with strangers on platforms such as gaming apps, and daily limits are planned for kids aged 16 and 17 in an effort to target night scrolling. Well, Iran's first match in the FIFA World Cup is being overshadowed by protests.
They represent the regime in Iran, which has occupied Iran for the past 47 years.
The chaotic scene outside the LA Stadium. Is Russia preparing for a wider war?
Putin is rearming. The budget is increasing every year.
Germany's warning for NATO. And a subway ride with Scottish undertones.
No party, no Scotland. No Scotland, no party.
We're back in 2. After weeks of rotating pickets, Metro Vancouver's outdoor workers have begun a full-scale strike. The more than 700 unionized workers cover operations like water and waste treatment, as well as parks, air quality, and natural resources. They've been without a contract since December of 2024. Well, there are some tense moments in LA tonight as Iran plays its first World Cup match, and on U.S. soil, the day after the two countries reached a peace deal. Lindsay Duncombe is outside Los Angeles Stadium in Englewood. So, Lindsay, tell us what you're seeing.
Well, there are a couple of hundred protesters here. These are anti-Islamic regime protesters. There have been a few moments of tension, Adrian. Not too long ago, there was a man with an Islamic Republic flag. The protesters crowded around him, called him a terrorist, ripped the flag away from him, and then ripped it up. There are an estimated more than 200,000 Iranian Americans who live in and around the Los Angeles area. Many of their families came here as a result of the Islamic Revolution in 1979. So a lot of people do not like the government, but a lot of Iranian Americans really do like football. It is a passion in Iran. So feelings about this tournament, this game, have been mixed.
These protesters say the Iranian national team doesn't represent them.
Because they play for the regime, and they represent the regime in Iran, which has occupied Iran for the past 47 years.
FIFA bans political symbols. That includes the pre-revolutionary sun and lion flag.
FIFA tried to ban this flag, but we're going in with the flag and our T-shirts.
This organizer is working with security,
high FIFA security,
to push for symbols to be allowed.
This is America. I know my amendments, so you can't come here and tell us to do that, Islamic Republic.
Protests are just the latest off-pitch drama for the team. It moved its base from Arizona to Tijuana, Mexico, over concerns about visa delays. Players are only allowed in the U.S. the day before each game. security outside their hotel is intense. Superstar striker Mehdi Taremi told reporters every country has its differences, but we are here to unite everyone. This Iranian-American author says the Islamic regime has used the team to inspire nationalism in a time of war.
For them, this is an opportunity to really flex its muscles on an international stage in a way that it normally would not be able to.
Some fans just want to celebrate the game and their culture.
There's a lot of animosity in the air for just who we are as people, and I think what's really important is to just show up and support your people and not politicize something that's just sports.
And as much drama as there is here, it could get even more dramatic depending on how the teams finish in the group stage. It is possible that the United States and Iran could face each other, Adrian.
That'll be interesting. All right, Lindsay Duncombe in Inglewood, thank you. Well, today's World Cup action began with a pretty stunning result. The tiny island nation of Cape Verde held Spain to a scoreless draw. Excitement reached a fever pitch as Cape Verde players celebrated after shutting out one of the tournament favorites. Today's game in Atlanta was their World Cup debut. Well, Germany's defense minister is warning of an expanding Russian threat that could lead to a broader war in Europe.
Our experts say it can happen in 2029.
Is NATO falling behind in what could become an arms race? And as Canada deliberates its next military aircraft purchase, the U.S. is losing patience.
We'll make a decision on what the full picture looks like when we're ready to make it.
The potential consequences of that tactic. The National breaks down the story shaping our world. Next. The U.S. and Iran appear close to ending months of war.
It's signed, the deal's all signed.
Yet public statements cannot tell the full story while the details remain private, and some big questions still need answers. But first.
It's really a bit frightening because Europe's not ready.
Not ready, she means, for a military attack from Russia, and she's not the only one.
We can't, push the snooze button and hope nothing will happen.
That's the stark warning from one of Europe's most powerful countries. Marie Brewster heard Germany's defense minister argue why the continent needs to get ready for war.
Boris Pistorius doesn't look like a man given to alarmism. Germany's defense minister is measured, deliberate, careful with his words. But when he talks about Russia, the future of NATO, and the possibility of another European war, the message is stark.
Our experts say it can happen in 2029.
For a generation, Germany built its prosperity on peace. Carrying the guilt and burden of the Second World War, military power was something Berlin avoided discussing. Discussing military power in Canada was also something to be avoided. And then, Russia invaded Ukraine.
The northern European countries reacted immediately, revitalized conscription, started rearmament of the armed forces, and so on. Germany and other countries, they hear the alarm clock, but they pushed the snooze button and turned around.
But they hear the alarm now. The Germany of today is almost unrecognizable from a decade ago. For much of the post-Cold War era, Germany kept its military on a tight leash, reluctant to wield hard power and content to rely on the United States for Europe's security. That is all over.
The majority of the German society and public is convinced that there is a threat again after 25, almost 30 years of peace.
It is that kind of blunt, pragmatic talk that's made Boris Pistorius one of Germany's most popular politicians, with public approval numbers that have occasionally eclipsed Chancellor Friedrich Merz.
Unlike his predecessors who viewed the defense ministry as a political dead end or a bureaucratic placeholder, Boris Pistorius embraced the transformation of the German military into a force ready for war. Are we really potentially facing a war in Europe?
Potentially, yes, but not knowing whether or when. What we see is, and what all our intelligence from all over the world says to us, is that Putin is rearming, that he is building up his armed forces up to 1.6 million personnel, that he is producing tanks and so on and so on. The budget is increasing every year.
Despite its combat losses in Ukraine, Russia has shifted into total war manufacturing, outproducing NATO nations on shell, missile, and drones at a staggering pace. The United States and NATO are just beginning to scale up. Canada's former ambassador to NATO, Carrie Buck, says Boris Pistorius' warning is significant.
I'd seen previously estimates that it would take roughly 10 years before Russia could launch a full-scale attack. That was a few years ago. A large-scale combat attack from Russia could happen as early as next year. And what it is really important and really a bit frightening because Europe's not ready.
For 75 years, NATO's ultimate security guarantee has been the United States. Not anymore.
I'll say it publicly, we're very disappointed with NATO because NATO has done absolutely nothing. I think a tremendous mistake was when NATO just wasn't there. They just weren't there.
I don't see a NATO without the United States, and I don't see a majority in the United States who would support a NATO exit of the United States, not at all. I think this is kind of choreography or dramaturgy.
But is it? The United States signaled recently it will be sending less equipment, known as enablers, ships and aircraft, to help NATO in the event of a crisis.
If it's just a pure pullback on some of the enablers, then there are going to be certain skies over certain NATO territories that won't be as well defended. It depends what's happening in conversations amongst the bigger NATO European powers and how ready they are both politically and militarily to move quickly to fill in those gaps.
A recent study said to fully replace the U.S. in NATO, it would cost Europe and Canada up to $1 trillion over a decade. While he may not see a full American exit, Boris Pistorius seems resigned to the U.S. doing less, and in his typically blunt style, had a message for the Trump administration.
We understand that you want and need to do less in conventional deterrence and defense in Europe, but give us a chance to mitigate that. Give us a chance to fill the maybe dangerous gaps of capability gaps to be able to defend ourselves and to achieve more conventional deterrence on our own. So give us a time. Partners and allies do that among each other, and we are working on that, and hopefully we find a way to do so.
Time is not on Europe's side. Boris Pistorius knows this. The question is whether NATO can prepare quickly enough for what's coming.
We can't, well, again, push the snooze button and hope nothing will happen.
So, Murray, with the Iran ceasefire deal in place, I think about the dynamic between the U.S. and Europe. It's a little bit strained. How does this change that?
Well, the Trump administration is still angry at Europe and NATO for not joining the war with Iran and not helping reopen the Strait of Hormuz. The hangover from that, with allies, is going to be with us for a while. The U.S. has been musing about withdrawing forces from Europe since President Trump returned to office, but the war with Iran has clearly accelerated that. The questions allies are going to be asking themselves going into next month's summit are, how much is this being done in a fit of pique, and can they slow it down?
All right, that is Murray Brewster in Ottawa. Thanks, Murray.
You're welcome.
We asked Andrew Chang, host of About That, to take a closer look at the deal.
The war in Iran is over. Asterisk, fine print, terms and conditions apply.
Fox News alert. President Trump says a deal with Iran is now complete.
But key questions remain unanswered about the details of this agreement, and nothing has been formally signed yet.
Last night on Truth Social, Trump wrote, "The deal with the Islamic Republic of Iran is now complete. I hereby fully authorize the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz and the immediate removal of the United States naval blockade."
What this deal does fundamentally, it immediately reopens the Straits of Hormuz.
So by the U.S. telling, the deal with Iran is done. The Strait of Hormuz reopens immediately, and the plan is to put pen to paper this Friday in Switzerland. Except, We should look very skeptically at Trump's announcements, especially when less than 1 hour after hereby fully authorizing the toll-free opening of the Strait of Hormuz, he clarified, amended, hard to tell, that the strait actually only opens upon the signing of the deal on Friday for purposes of mine removal, which, wait, what? Is the strait already open, or does it only actually open to minesweepers on Friday? How long does that take? And does this deal that nobody in the general public has even seen even hold until then? Why might the deal not hold? Well, let's start with Lebanon.
Cracks are showing in an already fragile truce between the U.S. and Iran.
Israel unleashing a sprawling barrage of more than 100 attacks on the Lebanese capital, Beirut.
The last time Trump announced a ceasefire, it was immediately undone when Israel attacked Iran's Hezbollah allies, which Iran called a ceasefire violation. And now, with Trump announcing this latest deal, members of Israel's government are already pushing back, saying Trump's agreement does not bind us. This is a bad deal for Israel, and Israeli troops will stay in Lebanon indefinitely. That feels like a problem. On the opening of the Strait of Hormuz, what does that even mean? Trump says tanker traffic will be permanently toll-free, as in Iran can no longer force ships to pay it millions of dollars to use what is otherwise an international shipping lane. Except this is also contradicted by Iran this time through its IRGC-affiliated media. It's only exempting vessels transiting the Strait of Hormuz from paying fees for a period of 60 days, after which Iran intends to begin charging ships for services after that period. That feels like another pretty big disconnect. And the two sides also don't seem quite in alignment on sanctions relief. How much and how to release money to Iran, with Iran appearing to believe it will have billions of dollars released to it fairly soon. But the U.S. position?
Just to be clear, the Iranians signed this deal on Friday. They will not be receiving any sanctions relief, not receive any assets upon signing of this deal.
Well, we already signed the deal digitally yesterday, and there's been no money released, and that won't change, George. Again, this is a performance-based thing.
And we haven't even gotten to the issue of Iran building a nuclear bomb. That's to be discussed and finalized over the next 60 days, or else maybe the whole thing collapses. So what we have right now, after nearly 4 months of fighting, is a deal, yes, but it's a deal to physically sign a deal on Friday to reach a deal 60 days from now.
Coming up, is the Canadian government's apparent indecision on U.S. fighter jets connected to trade concerns?
We'll make a decision on what the full picture looks like when we're ready to make it.
We're at NORAD HQ, where security is the only concern. Next. As the U.S. continues to wait for Canada's decision on a huge purchase of fighter jets, we're at NORAD HQ to hear the experts explain what is at stake.
Our fighter force has been struggling for a number of years, and it's going to take a while for it to recover.
David Common explores the challenges when trade and security are each at play.
The Pentagon's patience with Canada is over, even if still coded in the language of diplomacy. Senior officials telling journalists on background the Canadian government's delays and lack of transparency around its ongoing F-35 review are just one example of the prioritization of politics over our shared responsibility for North America's defense. In short, they'd prefer Canada buy the planned order of 88 sophisticated fighter jets from the U.S. We're committed to 30 already, but the Carney government launched a review more than a year ago. It's done. But amid a trade war, no decision on the F-35s has been made. Instead, for months, the government has mulled buying Swedish Gripen combat aircraft. The Swedes promise they'd build them in Canada. The Pentagon wants a decision to be made soon. But Stephen Fuhr, the federal Liberal in charge of defense procurement, says there is no rush.
We haven't slowed anything down. We have contractual commitments with Lockheed Martin for 16 aircraft. We have purchased long lead items for an additional 14. So we're in for 30 airplanes, and we will decide. We'll make a decision on what What the full picture looks like when we're ready to make it.
Soon, not soon, no one is saying, not publicly anyway. Is Canada using it as a bargaining chip in trade talks? No one will say. So we visited NORAD, the cross-border, decades-old defense body which protects North American airspace. Whatever plane Canada buys, this will be its primary mission.
The key is they need to be interoperable.
Gregory Guillot is a U.S. Air Force general, the top commander at NORAD. He says what matters most is whatever plane Canada buys, it must be able to work alongside other existing aircraft, including the F-35 being flown now by the Americans.
Interoperability is what brings the strength to NORAD, where we can interchange aircraft across the border or fly together in the same formation to conduct the mission.
But there is a major technological difference. Canada's CF-18s, originally bought in the 1980s, are considered fourth-generation fighters. So too are the Swedish Gripen planes Canada might buy to replace them. The stealth F-35 is fifth generation, with more advanced surveillance capabilities.
Is there anything that, say, a fifth generation, in this case an F-35, can do in the NORAD role that other aircraft available to you do not?
Day to day, very little, but if you look at our contingency operations and wartime operations, the F-35 sensor suite, its radar ability to take in data from all sorts of sources, makes it one of a kind.
Superior to anything else that's out there?
Anything else that I've seen in that role, yes.
Yeah.
Down the hall from General Guillot is his deputy, Canadian Lieutenant General Ian Huddleston. Like his boss, he's clear that the purchase decision is political, so politicians will decide. But people like him will have to implement it.
The Americans operate fourth and fifth generation fleets, but they have a much larger air force than Canada does. We're a much smaller country. Is it as easy for the RCAF, for instance, to operate a dual generation fleet?
I mean, I was the commander of 1st Canadian Air Division, and the answer is no. Personnel-wise, I mean, you've seen the Auditor General reports. They are stark in their assessment of our capability. Our fighter force has been struggling for a number of years, and it's going to take a while for it to recover, is the fundamental answer to your question.
Huddleston is just echoing what others have warned. The Air Force is short of personnel. 20% short of those who maintain the planes, up to 33% short on pilots, jobs that are often specific to one plane, meaning having both some F-35s and some Gripens will be hard for the military to even staff.
When you look not just at the aircraft, but the people itself, can we support fourth and fifth together at once?
Technically, yes. But the resource bill is really the challenge. When you come down to it, the people, that's the key challenge.
For all the talk from the Pentagon that Canada is not meeting its commitments, at NORAD, it's the opposite message.
I've never had a challenge with aircraft availability on either side. Both the Royal Canadian Air Force and the U.S. Air Force do a fantastic job of maintaining new and old fighters. We've never had a problem with inability to deliver aircraft or exceedingly high maintenance rates.
But the longer a decision on the F-35s is delayed, the harder that may be to keep up.
Now, just last week, sources told CBC News that the federal government is open to jets from both the U.S. and Sweden. Well, coming up, a Toronto subway turns Scottish stage.
People were getting on and off and on and off, and they kept on asking us, can you play a tune? Can you play a tune?
The musical ride next in our moment. This is Edinburgh bagpiper Martin Wilson with his siblings, John and Julie. He's visiting them in Toronto. Welcome, Martin. His original plan was to bring his bagpipes down to the World Cup fan zone to play while cheering on Scotland, because of course. But once they got on the subway, riders had another idea. What came next? That's our moment.
We were on the subway, and some of the passengers asked me to play them a tune, which I did. And I played various different tunes at different times. It was Scotland the Brave. But at various different times also played Highland Laddie and the Black Bear.
Flower of Scotland.
And Flower of Scotland. People were getting on and off and on and off, and they kept on asking us, can you play a tune? Can you play a tune? Just the fact that it was sort of confined and moving at speed was a bit of an experience.
The Scotland fans, no matter where we go, we are so well received, and when you can add a bit of music into it, we are enthusiastic about our football team. No Scotland, no party.
Absolutely.
You could even sing that. No Scotland, no party. No Scotland, no party.
I'll stick to the pipes.
Okay, in case some of you were wondering about maybe grumpy Toronto commuters saying, oh no, not today. Martin says there were only requests to keep playing. No one upset or frustrated, so there. From all of us at The National, thanks for being with us. I'm Adrienne Arsenault. Take care.